Yeah, I can't do it.
Call in order at 5:02. Need a motion to accept the minutes of 6:23.
Move.
So move. Second?
Second.
Second, okay. Next meeting, 5:16 PM. We should do the special meeting right now. The date.
Okay.
We'll get into the reason later on, but we're gonna have a special meeting next Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday,
Or, 5/1 is not next Tuesday.
No, he's
That would be the 18th.
special meeting.
Oh, okay. And what day is that?
If we can get a quorum.
What's the special meeting for?
Is that the 18th?
Yeah, if we can get a quorum.
I probably won't be able to attend that meeting.
Okay.
Probably will.
Probably will.
Yeah.
Cool.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
No, I don't have my calendar with me.
Is that at 6, I assume?
Yeah, what time?
6.
6? I guess, I think so, I'm not sure.
Okay. Matt? Good. James?
Look.
It's Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, Monday I could do it.
Yeah, I think I can do it Tuesday.
And that's on the Prid one?
Yeah. That's one,
Monday we
two.
could do 4.
What's the rush for the bird one?
Clearly, it should have been on tonight's agenda.
Monday we could do like 4:30. There's a 2:00 and 6:30 meeting, so we will have
At 4:30.
That's
not the
4:30, yeah.
So 4:30 is open?
4:30 on Monday.
If you don't stay more than an hour.
4:30 Monday?
Now.
Of course. That's fine. So if you do 4:30?
17.
17th, 4:30?
Quorum for that.
I most likely won't be able to attend that
I'm in the same boat. Yeah, I doubt it.
at 4.
Oh, you can't do
I
it?
doubt it.
We can't squeeze them in tonight? Or does it has to be on the
Could be on the agenda.
agenda?
Can there be 4 of you? Are there 4 of you on Monday?
So,
2, 3.
I don't know.
I don't, it's not gonna be about. Why don't we start the meeting and see how it can progress?
All right.
If we have any time, let's get into this meeting.
Can you do it if they're not on the agenda?
Yeah. We didn't post the
We didn't
documents.
post it, okay.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I don't have any other correspondence. We'll come back to that special meeting. Briefing by the town board liaison, please.
Nothing much to report other than the fact that, we met with school and it appears that there's probably a 98% chance that the school is going to go with the IA systems. No, I just meant for water in general. That's just something that, I know something with that. But nothing major enough to report that. The only other thing I want is Fresh Pond is progressing very nicely.
Good.
Met with the Bateman this morning, and Stevie Lennox points out that the sign at the entrance to Cockles Harbor is pretty far away from the water at this point. And, the sign that posts the speed limit. And the lettering is very small. And so he would like you guys to agree that that should change. And then, or think about it or come up with a suggestion, and then we would, I guess, get with Brian, right?
Yeah, Brian, we ordered through Brian and we put it up,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You put it too far out if you don't do something about what you're gonna lose the sign.
that's why you'd be surprised, sometimes it's a whole lot closer to the water. It's
Right
right
now, right.
Yeah, we put those up, those were all brand new, they were replaced 3 seasons ago.
Yeah.
So,
He's saying, You know, he's saying he's seeing these triple engine center console dudes, pros going past and.
Yeah.
He said, but yeah, maybe,
Vehicles for them.
maybe they don't see the sign, is what.
Nobody
They don't
says.
care.
Too many tears.
But all,
Nobody says.
the signs might be placed because of the dredging that goes on.
Right,
They need to be able to get the excavator and the loader.
yeah, I mean. unless
Maybe
you-
bigger letters.
Unless you have an objection to it, we can certainly look at moving them closer to the navigable area. That's not,
It wouldn't bother the dredging.
in theory, they snapped the pole off last time they were out there, and so it didn't make much difference where it was. But yeah, no, I mean, we can, that's a simple thing. Yeah,
All right.
we'll take care of it.
All right,
Will you?
great.
Okay, great, thanks.
The spit's only gonna get longer, it's not gonna get shorter. So if you put it, unless you dredge it, yeah, but I'm just saying.
Oh, what do you got for us?
Anybody been on online moorings, today or the past couple of days? Did you see my present that I gave to you?
Yeah,
Okay, so we're getting there, we're working on it. I'm referring to, we
Say
have,
I'm not privileged yet.
yeah, I'm working on it. We now have quote unquote available locations, so it's mooring locations that have at one time or another previously been approved, but are currently unoccupied, are now displayed in a different color. So you don't have to go on a little hunting path the whole time, you can just look that way. There is one little catch with that, some of them are actually just expired moorings and not actually technically available at this point, but we're 90% of the way there, we're getting there, so.
fantastic.
So, that's there. Second thing, probably feeds into some of the Suffolk County Health Department, all that. I got notice from DEC the other day, FDA is pushing out a bunch of new really stringent criteria for certifying various bodies of water for shellfish harvesting.
Oh, boy.
And they are looking at introducing some new closures. I'm working on trying to get the content of their proposals. But they're looking to implement seasonal closures, much like they have at around like the boat yards right now, things like that. So it'd be an in-season seasonal closures. Specifically, so far they've listed the 2 transient anchorages and a mooring field in the vicinity of one. I don't know what that means just yet, but just keep in mind, that stuff's gonna be coming towards us pretty soon.
That's coming to the state, do you think?
Yeah, FDA pushed it to Marine Resources at DEC. DEC is trying to figure out how to implement moving forward. And so as some of you probably know, they typically do things in a unilateral fashion. I'm trying as hard as we can to be a cooperative partner with them. So we have a little bit of a heads up, but we'll see.
If I could get with you later, by the end of the week maybe, and get whatever you've got so far.
Yeah, and I gave you what I got so far. I'm literally working with him right now, trying to develop. He wants coordinates from me for buoys for the anchorages, so we're trying to have an open dialogue. So as soon as I have more, I'm gonna give it to you guys.
Sweet, thanks.
And then the last thing was actually just something for you guys to chew on. You may not know it, but summer's almost here. And so we have to start getting into that mode. We're actually starting to put buoys out this week, right? It's here we go. One of the things that we have identified at least 2 years in a row, is this proliferation of for-hire water sports in and around Shelter Island in our waters. The overwhelming majority, if not all of them, are at least owned by non-island entities. Some of them may be based out of the island in various commercial establishments, but they're definitely not resident businesses. Administratively, we've discussed reaching out to all of the purveyors that we already know or have dealt with, just to try and give them like a pre-season briefing on here's how this works, here's Welcome Shelter Island, here's our boater's guide, get that information out ahead of time, try and stem off some headaches that we get from people doing things maybe that we wouldn't want them to be doing. I ask you guys to consider things that you might want us to relay to those folks, and maybe we do it as a town type of thing rather than just a police department shoving this down your throat type of thing. It could be from the Waterways saying, hey, we want you to come here, we want you to use, enjoy our island, but make sure you do it this way. So just chew on that for the next meeting. I'd like to get it out to these, at least the individuals that we know of. And if you guys have anybody in mind, if you know a company that is utilizing our waters, just let me know the names, so that way we can try and get in touch with them and make sure we're off to a good start.
Well, just in 30 seconds, could you outline just the non-resident businesses, kind of like what we're looking at here? The type of business.
Type of business? Well, they're all pretty much all towed activities is the primary, right? So whether it's Peconic Water Sports with their wakeboards, Hampton Yacht Rental with their bareboat charters, there's somebody, I forget the name off the top of my head, coming out of 3 Mile Harbor into Cockles Harbor pretty much every day. So we have a lot of visitors. Then not to mention, like, what's it? Martin and Gray is like a club type of ownership thing. They're based here now, right? They
As well as every other marina.
Right. So, and the overwhelming majority of these folks are great users of our waterways. Like, there's not problems. But we just want to get out ahead of it and say, you guys are commercial applications. We are going to look for you to conduct yourself as professionals out here, right? We have plenty of people who don't know what they're doing. We want everybody who can possibly participate in a productive way to do so.
Sounds like fair warning.
It's a nice way to say it.
I think there are a number of individual operators out of Sag Harbor. I don't think they're companies. I think they might just be a guy with a boat. There's at least 3 or 4 of them with ski boats that are in all over the place. So I'm not sure how you contact them other than walking up to them at the dock in Sag Harbor.
Yeah, so there are a number like that, and anybody with a 6-pack and some insurance could probably do it. 6-pack meaning the license, not this deal. Although, so we're looking for the ones that we know about to start with, right? Like I interacted with a number of different companies last year in an official capacity, so we can start with them. There is a number of sort of privately held boats over there that all kind of fall under the same general management structure, so I know who they are. And then we can just do some traditional looking around, like Googling, water sports for hire, Shelter Island, Sag Harbor, Southall, Greenport, whatever. Again, we just want to, if people are complaining about these sorts of things already, we might as well say, hey, look, this is what we expect you to do. I don't want you to come here and say, I didn't know, right? I didn't see the sign because the writing was too small. Don't worry about that, right? We're moving on. Just get out ahead of it.
Do we have the ability to put a 5-mile-an-hour buoy outside of Major's Cove?
The ability?
I mean, I don't know if it's state water or what.
Yeah, so there's an ability to do a lot of things, right? It's a matter of whether or not there is, first is obviously jurisdiction, right? And so basically within 1,500 feet of our shoreline, we have home rule jurisdiction for the most part with stuff like that. We would be able to implement something. But that would require a change in code to create a lawful aid to navigation. And then that would also have to be obviously eventually kicked up to the Coast Guard for incorporation in that, right? To make it worth, otherwise it's just another thing in the water for people to do.
We got a big agenda, and plus we got the Peconic Bake.
Right, yeah, so I just wanted to touch on those 3 things.
Sounds great. Briefing by chairman, the only thing I've got is that the Goodwin is going forward with applying for the moorings. They came up with specific locations. Fortunately, our agenda was set prior to that being submitted, I believe. It was on the same day, but I don't know about the time frame. And so that's why we're trying to figure out a special meeting that we can accommodate them. It wasn't I didn't see any room on today's agenda, particularly since we have to be out of here by 7:15 at the very latest, right? So trying to figure that out, how we can get a special meeting, accommodate them, so if they can get it going, in time for the season. That's it, for me. Sonic Bay Keepers, would you mind introducing yourselves and?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Sorry we couldn't make it in time for the ferry to get over there. But I'm Pete Topping. I'm the executive director and Peconic Baykeeper, and I also have Alexa Annunziata. She's our director of outreach. And for those that aren't familiar with us, we are a nonprofit environmental organization devoted to water quality issues, watershed protection. We don't get on Shelter Island as often as we'd like to, but hopefully this could be the start of doing that. And so part of what we do, and the reason why I think we were invited today, is we run a bacteria water quality monitoring program throughout the year. We work with the Surfrider Foundation and also the Concerned Citizens of Montauk, which is an environmental group out closer in Montauk. And collectively, we monitor sites basically from Montauk Point on the South Fork all the way to the town of Southold on the North Fork and Riverhead and parts of Shinnecock Bay. We do not currently have sites on Shelter Island, and if Alexa is able to screen share, she's been kind of spearheading this program for the last couple of years. She could give the council an overview of how that works.
Thank you.
Sound is good.
One second. Can everybody see?
Yep.
Awesome. Hi, good evening, everyone. Like Pete said, my name is Alexa. I'm just going to do a brief overview of the Blue Water Task Force to give you guys sort of the in and outs of what we do. And then I've got some time at the end to kind of discuss any concerns or any potential sites that you guys have in mind. So the Blue Water Task Force is actually the Surfriders Foundation's volunteer-based water quality monitoring program. So on Long Island, Peconic Baykeeper, the Concerned Citizens of Montauk both partner with the Eastern Long Island chapter of the Surfrider Foundation to carry out water quality monitoring at over 70 sites on the East End. So the goal of this program is to provide critical water quality information, protect the public's health, as well as to raise awareness of local pollution problems and bring communities together to implement potential solutions. We also seek to fill water testing gaps in the county's testing. So later on, I actually have a map of Shelter Island with the sites that the county is currently testing. So we sample on Monday mornings. So in the summertime, we actually sample every Monday and we adjust for Monday holidays through the summer. From October to April, from October. In October and in May, we sample twice a month. And then the remaining winter months, we sample once a month. So we do maintain a baseline for our data. So this is a map of the current sites that we have. So recently we've expanded from the South Fork, we've done the North Fork, we've incorporated more sites in Riverhead. And this is also what the Surfrider website looks like with the maps. And when you click on these bubbles here, they give you the site name and all the data is there as well. So as you can see, there are different colors. So the green means that it's a low test result. The red is a high test result. The yellow is medium, and the gray means that there hasn't been recent testing there. So what are we actually testing for? So we're testing for Enterococcus bacteria. It's a type of bacteria that indicates fecal pollution, and it's common in human or animal waste. It's also a really good indicator that other pathogens that could be present that could harm recreators, anything from a stomach flu to ear infections or eye infections, and a real range of potential problems. So Enterococcus has many different sources. So this test that we use actually can't identify the source, but can give us presence absence. Some common sources include waterfowl, mammals, and even leaky septic systems. And over here, this is a picture of us processing the samples in our lab. We actually, over the last winter, we switched to glassware. So now we're using glass bottles and glass pipettes in the lab to reduce plastic waste. You can see those new glass bottles. So we actually use the same procedure and the same protocol that the Suffolk County Health Department uses. We use a reagent called Eneralert, which when mixed with the bacteria sample causes the bacteria to glow under black light. So these are the results, and as you can see, the bright blue results are positive results. So after we process the samples, we pour them from the bottles into these trays. They get incubated for 24 hours, and then they are removed from the incubator and read. And over here on the left is our control, and the right is a positive sample. So we count each glowing well, and then we use a chart to determine the number of what's called colony forming units. And that determines whether it's a low, medium, or high sample. So in this case, this is a high sample. So once we have those results, so it takes 24 hours, and then so we collect on Monday, 24 hours later on Tuesday, we read the results, and then by Wednesday morning, we get results out to the public. And we have a variety of methods right now for how we get information out there. So we post on social media, we post our water quality reports. Surfrider Long Island has a great email blast that goes out that people can sign up for. We also have these awesome Blue Water Task Force stickers, and folks can just scan this QR code, and it brings you to this link tree down here. That gives you pretty much the link to every version of the results you could possibly look for, plus the Suffolk County Beach Monitoring Program. So there's plenty of ways folks can get the information. We try to make it as available as possible. So there are a few limitations of the program. So we don't have the power to close beaches, creeks, or any of the testing sites. In the event of high readings at a public bathing beach, we can contact the health department, and they can investigate further and determine if the beach needs to be closed. But we don't have the authority to do any type of closing. We cannot identify the source of Enterococcus. It is a really common digestive tract bacteria, and if there is a problem and there's a pollution problem that's identified, source tracking is something that we can talk about at a later date, but that's not something that we're able to do right now. And it takes 24 hours to get the results. So when we sample on Monday, results will be out to the public by Wednesday. So it's just something to keep in mind. And just some things to consider for a new site. So does the location have public access? So we traditionally use sites that have public access, not only for the the recreational value, but also so that it's safe for volunteers to go and collect this sample. Is it used for recreation? A big goal of this program is to cover recreation sites that are commonly used by folks that might not be the big public beaches. You know, I think everybody has like their favorite off the beaten trail type of spot, and we want to make sure that we're getting those spots too, not just the super popular beaches. Is there a volunteer who might be interested in sampling these sites and getting them over to us? So we process in the lab, which is is set up at our office in Hampton Bays. And then also if there's local funding available. So we have funding that supports the program, but especially when it comes to expanding, it's always great if there's some kind of local funding available to help support sites. And then, so this is just some of the sites that are currently being tested by the Suffolk County Department of Health. And I'm sure you guys are way more familiar with them than I am, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of some of the locations that are currently being tested. And if anyone has questions, or I'll leave this map up while we talk about sites. So yeah, so if anyone has questions or comments, and we're here.
Yeah. Can you flip back to the screen that shows what you need to get this done? Like a volunteer, money?
Yeah. So it's pretty straightforward. So one, we need an access point. The idea with the program is, we're not trying to do like a one-off, sample to see if X body of water is polluted. We can do that from time to time if there's a concern, but we're trying to get more consistent long-term trend data. So we want a spot that's accessible. It could be the end of a dock, it could be the end of a road. We want a spot that is the results are gonna help inform people. So that could include kayakers, people clamming, swimming, etc. Volunteers, it doesn't have to be one volunteer, as long as everyone's familiar with what needs to happen and can kind of commit to the sampling program. And then as far as funding, the testing is pretty affordable. So the cost per test for raw materials is about $10. And then, we factor in, with our processing time and all that. So for each site, we kind of have like a general target range of about $250 a year to, $500 a year to cover a site. And that takes care of not only the raw materials, but also staff time. And that's like 24 or 25 testing rounds over the course of the year. So it's not like $1,000 per sample or anything crazy. We're just trying to, keep the program funded at a sustainable level.
Are all of your sites year round?
All of the sites are year round. And then I think Alexa went through the schedule, and so we do from June through August, or maybe
September.
June through September, we do weekly. And then we do bi-weekly in May, bi-weekly in October, and then just monthly in the winter months. So we want to generate a better sense of what's going on in each site when. We know that sometimes it's difficult to get a site covered for a month or two in the winter. It's not a big deal, but the overall goal is to have a consistent data set.
So my first thought on this is we have two harbor masters. And what do you mean, no?
No, say yes. Yeah,
okay.
It's easy. If you guys want to do it, we can collect a sample.
And to collect, for us, if we could collect a central location in a harbor, somewhat representative of the entire harbor, I think that would be a preference or a goal. That would be difficult in November, December, January.
Right.
Boats from the water.
Yeah, I mean, we're boats are in the water year round.
Never mind.
And
Are they
that's,
collecting from the shore or collecting from boats?
so most of the locations, we have these, like, I think they're like 6-foot sampling sticks that we use so people can walk out if they have boots on and kind of reach out. We don't want the results, you know what, that you bring up a good point, like the results can be heavily impacted on a hyper local level. So if you're at the end of a road and it's been raining all night and you test right in front of that, you're probably going to get high results because whatever's in that road is going to get washed down. But if you're able to get a site that's a little bit further out, you like you mentioned with boats, you'd get a better representation of what that harbor is kind of looking like on an average.
Would that work for you guys? Because it looks like most of your stuff is shore-based. Do you have any problem with that?
We don't have a problem with it.
He's not doing the testing, so
yeah,
here's-
we don't have whatever
us.
the 40
It's their
volunteers
program.
with boats. So yeah, so I think it's I think it gives a better picture of what's going on holistically in a given water body, especially if you're like Cockles Harbor or West Neck or one of those spots. But it can be limiting for some sites. But if you have those resources, that's great.
So financially, it doesn't sound like a huge burden. And collection sounds like we might be able to do that. And then the next thing is getting it to Hampton Bays.
Right. So that's
Is it Uber or?
that's the yeah. That's really the biggest. I don't want anyone on Shelter Island to feel offended that we don't have any testing sites on there. That's really been the biggest hurdle with Shelter Island, because we need to get the samples between when they're collected to the lab and start processing. The protocol is I believe it's 6 hours. Is that right, Alexa? So
Yeah.
within six hours. So typically, plus it makes things more streamlined when we can go through all these together. So we do work with coordinating volunteers, or I should say Alexa does that. So we do have people in kind of like the Sag Harbor, Noyak area. So the main thing would be, getting it collected on the island, getting it off the island, and then getting it to us. And that's really the biggest hurdle, I think, to
Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking is, excuse me, we do the collection, we get a hold of the Noyak person or whatever, say we're gonna put this on the 10 o'clock ferry on South Ferry, and can you come pick it up? Does that sound possible?
So that might be possible. I just, so what times does the 10, what times does the ferry get to Sag Harbor then?
Well,
At 10?
they go all the
Yeah, you're talking about a 4 or 5 minute ride. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we
okay.
need to back up a little bit,
I'm finished with this.
because you can't point source this to humans without a different type of test, right?
Right. So this is pretty, it's pretty standard testing that's done. It's basically recognizing that, bacteria pollution could come from anything. It could be a giant flock of geese that comes down the harbor overnight. It could be, a bunch of people had their dogs on the street, didn't clean up after them, and we got a big rainstorm. So we can't differentiate that. But so if say we were testing in Cockles Harbor, for instance, and everything looked clean, and then all of a sudden in July, the numbers were going through the roof, and there was no sign of anything else going on. At that point, you could take a water sample and work with like the Gobler lab, or there are other entities.
Like electrophoresis type of sampling, the electrophoresis.
Yeah,
type
so
of-
they do, they use PCR, which like amplifies the genetic material in there, and then they can source track based on that.
You have
So
an
that's
idea
kind
what
of
it
like, it's
costs?
kind of like a next step. I don't know what the cost of that is offhand, but it's fairly pricey,
With,
or can be.
well, with your method, if you can't trace it to humans, how do you determine if it's a leaky septic system?
Yeah.
We
Well, it
we
says on their
don't,
list they can.
yeah,
It's just-
it's
This is
just
the
it's
health of the
something
waters
that
is all they're
could
caring about.
be, and that's in most places that's really not going to happen unless it's like a waterfront site and you have a flooding event or something like that. There are cases when some of these systems are physically underwater. More often than not, it's waterfowl, dogs. If there are a lot of people in the water, that you could have some human matter in that as well. It's just a matter of kind of trying to figure out what what your objectives are. I know there's probably some concern with boats, maybe not pumping out. So if that's kind of a concern, we could test and say you do have high bacteria. The next step would be to do a source tracking, or you could just go ahead and just work with someone to do source tracking.
I wanted to stay on target for all these applications. I think we gotta, but Pete, one question I had was the data that is collected, is that shared with, I mean, you have CCE, you have PEP. Is this data being shared with other people sharing data with you?
Yeah, so all of this data, as Alexa mentioned, when we do the sampling, it takes 24 hours once the samples are processed, and we incubate them. Once that data is available, we immediately upload it to our website. So it's all publicly accessible. We have the numbers for each site is available to anyone with internet access.
No one else is doing this, duplicating this then?
Not what we are doing specifically. So like the health department, on their website, they've actually have gotten much better about posting the actual results and the data for each site. But they only test bathing beaches. So those are lifeguarded beaches.
Yeah.
So part of our goal, like when I was looking through Shelter Island, the health department does a great job there at most of those spots. It looks like they're testing like every week or every other week. And I saw very few higher readings. So we're kind of like looking for those spots that people are using. Kids are splashing around in the water and people are paddleboarding, but they're not lifeguarded. So they're not Suffolk County Department beaches. They're not trying to do what's already being done.
Thank you.
Do you have that list of current locations?
Yeah, go back to the map.
Sure.
So that's like,
Oh, it's over.
It's like Wade's Beach is the only spot there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not an operation.
Yeah. So Wade's. So the county only tests also during the bathing beach season. So I believe it goes from like June through
Wade's is
September.
Yes.
Across from Show Point.
Yeah, that too is a factor. They're only testing it for 3 months out of the 12.
Yeah, and we can as a follow-up, I can share if any of you are not familiar with accessing this data, I can send you the link to that, and then you can take a look and see what's being tested and when. When I looked at Wade's Beach, it looked pretty clean overall, but it seemed like over the last few years there were 1 or 2 high readings each season. I would think on the north side of Shelter Island, you have a lot of tidal flow going through there. Those areas are going to be overall pretty clean. So it's more of like Cockles Harbor, for instance, or tucked more further back in West Neck. The less flushing you have,
Right.
the more confined, the more likely you are to see higher bacteria levels.
So the spots on this map in blue,
Okay, it's not.
It's not sharing.
sorry,
If you can stop sharing the screen.
It's not your map.
Sure.
That's Suffolk County.
This is Suffolk County data.
it's all Suffolk County.
So the sites that they were showing are probably specific to the testing relative to the public bathing beach. The other sites that the county uses that are depicted here are probably more robust or different data sets they're looking at for different reasons they're looking. Much like the DC also has a number of, they wouldn't be represented on that very specific data set that he was showing before. That's why you're wondering why there was nothing in West Neck when we know there's stuff in West Neck, right?
The red dots are the marine monitoring program, which is also a Suffolk County. So and
Get to that.
the blue are the beaches. We get to that later.
I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
repeating
so-
myself. We gotta keep moving here.
Yeah, so the red, they're testing a bunch of different parameters. It's not it's different than the bathing beach program.
Peter, I think there's a pretty good chance that we're gonna figure out how we can,
Yeah,
try and figure out how we can join up with you.
Okay, yeah, we can follow up offline. I'm happy to do that. Alexa and I, we can come to the island and do some site visits. But yeah, we just wanted to kind of meet and be able to provide an introduction to what we can and can't do. And we'd love to work with you all if we could figure out a way to make that happen.
That was great. Thank you very much.
In touch.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Alexa.
having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Bye.
Matt Williamson, our newest member, I asked him to check into the Suffolk County Department of Health Services water testing program. He's done some research on that. And so I'm going to turn it over to him, tell us what he's found out so far.
Could you put that map back up? I can keep it brief. I think they covered a lot of what I was going to end up talking about.
Yep.
But briefly, Suffolk County has two monitoring programs, the beaches, which are in blue, and the red spot, the dots are their marine monitoring. And the difference is frequency. So they actually go, as Pete said, they go weekly in the summertime and season to all the blue spots. It's only, and then bi-monthly, so every other month at the red locations. It's also a little bit spottier in terms of the red spots, but they did have, I noted that they do have a location in Cockles, and then in West Neck as well. The PSP is actually a separate third program, I should say. Actually, it's paralytic shellfish poisoning, and they're collecting shellfish and
Bags of mussels on the dock, that's what they got.
And so they collect, I guess, the mussels. They test those for poisonous organisms of some kind, and as well as some salinity and other sort of water physical characteristics. I think sort of the key takeaway that I was sort of finding is they are collecting data. What they've found is on some of the beaches, they've come up with a couple of different sort of exceedances of their standard of the 104. She mentioned colony forming units per 100 milliliters, but it's pretty infrequent. So a couple locations every summer are going over. They come back 2 days later or so, test it again, and haven't had sort of ongoing issues. And so we haven't had any shelter island beach closures. The marine, there really has been much lower in terms of the numbers of there haven't been any exceedances as far as I could tell in the data. And for the most part, the tests are coming back with not measurable amounts of Enterococcus or fecal coliform in the samples. So overall, I talked with Nancy Pearson who runs the beach monitoring program and is familiar with the marine, and she's generally of the opinion that the water here is pretty good. I'm collecting more of that data. She's sending more of it as she gets it and sort of like collating it. But so far, what I've seen, it seems decent.
Yeah, she's been in charge of that program for easily over 10 years. Yeah. So you've got They provide an Excel spreadsheet, which anybody can access, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, I put it, I mean, I sent it on to you.
Yeah.
I could put it on to the, I could send it out. It's difficult to find. The marine monitoring is very difficult to find online. So I've only gotten it from her. It's out there somewhere, but I haven't been able to get it myself. And there's one more site, the Daring Harbor location. I don't have any data for, but I did have it for the other locations. And it seems like in our area, the highest concentrations of coliform are actually in the channel between the Rams and Orient. That's where it's showing, but it's not, again, it's not above at a reportable level, it's on the outside. So for the most part, out of the plant, I'm not sure what's contributing to that, or, whether it's
The heights.
well, the height is treated. It's treatment, but the beach location isn't showing anything there either. So it's, in the overall scheme, you're not seeing any, I didn't see any differences between the beaches. All the beaches at some point were showing, some elevated level, but it wasn't particularly
Map up,
consistent.
please.
There was one in 2022 was one sample date. It's like early August, where 4 of the site, the beach club, I think Pearlman, Goodwin, and Quinnipiac all had a really high level on that one day. But then after that, it was back to fine again. So I'm not sure what that is.
Fireworks.
It was August 1st, I think, 2022. If anybody knows anything about that. I did a little bit of an analysis to try to figure out, because they're mentioning that rainfall sometimes, is an influence. I couldn't really see a significant correspondence. I talked with Nancy about that, and she said, yeah, in your area, it's probably not, because there's not a lot of enclosed spaces and closed payments. It's more of an issue, said, like in Huntington, where you have a lot of water from a lot of different residential areas and roads coming together. And so, whereas with the islands mostly flowing out, so she said that was likely to be less a factor. So in big downpours, you might get some flow that would actually influence that.
So I asked Matt if you could pick the sites out, the Cockles site, the West Neck Bay, West Neck Harbor, yes, Daring Harbor, but there isn't much. And then one of those Gardeners Bay sites, and kind of isolate that data and put it in some format that we could see what you've been seeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Pretty neat, huh? Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That jumped right on that. I really appreciate that.
And just for quick news, DEC also tests a lot of these waters pretty frequently, around all of those areas. Not always, like, for instance, there's several sites in the interior harbor alone that they test specifically.
Okay.
So there may be, generally speaking, it's pursuant to shellfish enclosures, right?
Okay.
But looking for the same sorts of stuff, so there might be, I think I'd given you a name, right?
You
So
did. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
We'll coordinate that.
The folks in the harbors at least once a week, every other week.
Are they making that available on a
I
programmatic
don't know,
basis?
we
You gotta
could
look.
probably get it if we asked for it, I imagine, if they're actually analyzing it. I know that a while ago Suffolk County wasn't actually analyzing all the data, but I guess they've apparently started to. So
I think we should find out what it costs to get the PCR, or what they call electrophoresis tests done, because otherwise it's going to be blamed on birds and dogs. And we went through that whole exercise 10, 15 years ago. So if we get a spike, I think we should know what it costs to take it to the next level to see if it's a human point source. And then we can deal with it. Otherwise, we're not really, nothing we do about it.
There's nothing wrong with starting with the overall picture.
Yeah, but I mean, unless we're going to be committed to going the next step, then we've just collected a lot of data.
I hear you. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Let's get started and then we can talk about budgets. It's necessary.
All right, dredging. Mr. Loretto.
Yes, the county's looking for our list of needs
Soon.
yeah, and I'm gonna draft a letter. Just curious, maybe Bo, you could help us out if there's any, if you're noticing any of the things that are on our list, if you could just reach out to me, I'd really. I really appreciate that. All right, sooner the better. And if anybody else has a concern over a particular area, in general, the letter, usually we ask that they just, maintain all of our inlets that they have consistently been maintaining. And they've been great in terms of taking care of us. And what's been at the top of the list recently is Menantic. We're trying to get Menantic to be done a little bit further and a little bit deeper to accommodate some of the larger boats that have been coming in.
Would there ever be a possibility of Martin Street getting touched at the entrance? It's really getting.
You have to really consider what the criteria are for the county, and there's nothing commercial up there.
There's
So
nothing,
that's the problem.
nothing prohibiting the town
Town could-
pursuing their own dredging agenda.
Correct.
Right, this is what the town is doing, or the county is willing to do on our behalf with whatever we pay or don't pay.
Right.
We get a lot amount of time to do what they do pursuant to their criteria. Private dredging operations, which for lack of a better term, this would be a private operation if the town were to contract with somebody. That's outside of the purview, that would be something, such like they do at
Real point.
South Ferry Hills, or Real Point.
Yeah, Naval Street, yeah.
Right.
So there's always that, it's sort of like A column, B column, right? Like have the county do it, and then it's the stuff that.
Right.
Well, they just did the one right next to South Ferry.
Right.
That quick
Right,
there.
Maple
They just did
Street,
that
right,
as a
right,
private
right,
one.
right.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys are gonna work on that letter? We're done? Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, we're into permits. How about with the easy one? I think I got this figured out, but I'm not 100% sure. This is for stake mooring and pulley off of Summerfield Place, sort of on what we call outside waters.
Yep.
And I believe it's in lieu of an existing mooring
There's like nothing to it, the application.
that the,
See that? Oh, yeah, I asked her about it, and it was
they're looking for,
attached one.
right now they have a riparian mooring, and they're looking for instead a riparian stake mooring and pulley. Getting out to the mooring to become onerous. Apparently, the owner is getting up in years, looking for an easier way to access their boat. I guess the drop pin is the location. 41087696, yeah,
Oh, that's why I couldn't tell.
pinpoint. The only thing I'm not clear on is whether they're gonna give up the mooring. Didn't get a chance to call, probably should.
Is this adjacent to North Ferry? Is that where we are?
Yeah.
Yeah, east of it.
So if it's not, does it need a vote?
Riparian, no.
But it's not. He didn't check the.
It isn't, there's not a lot to this application.
Like I'm looking for registration.
Well, there is,
The box is checked, but there's nothing like that.
It says repairing for a
Proposing to
stake mooring.
relocate a riparian, so there is nothing.
Oh, he's proposing to, I missed that part.
is there any way, easy way to, Christina, to check who owns that 30, I can't read, 3498 mooring? Just like that,
Ray or somebody.
same guy?
It's Mike Gray's, he's got a stake and pulley there.
So that's,
It says similar, yeah, same setup as
Correct.
Gray's pulley.
so I think there's probably nothing that says he couldn't have keep the mooring there, but if he was gonna give that up in lieu for the stake, it'd be good to know that, right?
Right, otherwise you have to have a boat for both of them.
Because you're only allowed to have one.
If he wants repairing, he's gotta get rid of that. 233498. Does it say when that expires? 24.
Switch from a regular riparian to an
24. I'll find out about that and send it out to all the parties involved, okay? As far as the concept, I'm good. Are there any more discussion? Questions?
No, I was gonna, there's already one there. I mean, there's one next to it apparently, right?
Take more and pull it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not, you know.
And he's gonna pull the mooring.
Well, that's one thing we're not
I've got to.
clear on.
I have to
Okay.
confirm that.
Okay.
So this be contingent on giving up the mooring. Just vote.
Or
Giving it up
getting up
to
the riparian right,
Or,
Yeah.
yeah,
and then coming up with 2 boats.
the boats, right, either way, right.
I don't know. I understand that's not his intention, so I just have to confirm. Anyhow, I'm good with that stipulation.
I'm
James?
good.
And
Yeah, I'm good.
Tom?
I'm good,
Bill?
good.
That's good. Excellent. Next one, Dugan. Okay, right on Big Ram.
What's it?
This started out a little over a year ago.
You do that?
I don't know. See if I can get that lease after that one runs off.
The original application, the guy just dropped a pin on a Google Earth map, said without regard to existing moorings in the area. So at least,
So that's the applicant's pin that I see on this paper application?
well, I don't know what happened after that. That was a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well,
Oh, geez. The deal is, I understand it's Serena Dugan has a significant friend who's she gonna lease the boat from. There's a lease agreement here. It would be boat specific or repairing? It's not repairing. Private mooring. With a leased boat. 18-footer. I think we should do something about the location. Looks a little bit close to. What access?
3611.
Huh? Oh, close to 3611, right?
So which is 37?
It's the house they just completely rehabbed out there. What's his name?
Which one?
It's right on the point, I guess, right? Is that the one right on the point?
No. This is, I can't remember which people's names. The Red House, what's that guy's name?
Oh, Ivers?
Ivers, yeah, right by Ivers.
Oh, isn't this riparian, really?
No, she lives across the street.
Oh,
Well, that house that was in the woods, sort of, and they took all the trees down, and they,
yeah.
it was like a log cabin, sort of. I can't remember his name. And he owns the lot across the street.
Right, and they're building some of the across
Yeah.
the street too.
Well, the previous, the original owner.
Right, that was the guy who had the nursery or whatever.
Yep.
So they don't have a waterfront parcel that connects the 2 lots like a lot
Right,
of,
some of them do.
some of this one doesn't, I guess.
So they split it and sold one,
Oh, okay.
sold the inland. What do you think of shoving that over to the right, a little bit closer to shore? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing there.
All right, so. Christina, something like over here? No.
It's 3611 Bob Cone. Christina, could you just look at that?
Ivers.
Oh, that's Ivers, so Cohen's to the west and south of that a little bit. Yeah, so more to the east is more open in there.
There's nothing in this area that's already open? That's not like, that's available?
Previously.
Yeah, that's been, there's nothing.
There's quite a few things in there, like Bert was just mentioning, there's quite a few in there, but there is more opening to that north and east side a little bit, like in front of the town landing there. to the east of Waterways.
Do you like that or not like that spot?
Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty tight, but it's fairly arbitrary to just say whether we like it or not, but, you know.
It's an 17-foot boat.
18.
18. I'm looking at the wrong application, sorry. The next one.
You should also know what the rally entrance is. That she wants. Put it on
Sausalito.
the- yeah, on the application.
Are we good with those new coordinates, John?
That's my idea.
I don't think it's particularly tight, isn't it? You know, for that small a boat.
The proposed
The
location?
new location.
Yeah.
Can we read those out?
James, can you read it to your right?
Here's the Cohen pulley line.
You want,
So that's the Cohen pulley line right there. So I guess that's, Cohen's boat isn't, his mooring isn't showing up on it right here. And there was already a conflict between these two moorings last summer. So that is a really tight little area.
That new proposed,
I mean,
the location we're
well, there's
proposing.
no mooring there yet, right?
Well, there is in the photo, but there doesn't appear to be on the,
Is that not in the database or?
all this is a really tight little area. It's
That's why I put the thing out.
It's deeper a little bit here, so it's a little, it's not like,
Whose is that buoy?
this one is Cohen.
Like that,
Pretty sure that's
unpermitted?
Cohen's, yep.
so we have moorings in that area that aren't.
Yeah, they're not showing up.
Scott, stop there for 1 second, okay? You cannot assume that everything you see on the screen is an accurate depiction to the point of real life, right? Because when you all permit coordinates, okay, those coordinates are what gets depicted, provided that those coordinates get input into the system accurately. They will display the permitted location. Then when the contractor or individual who goes and puts that in, I'm sure every effort is always made to get it exactly at the precise location of the permitted coordinates.
100%.
Unless there's not a rock or a little bit different perception of something, so,
Okay, excuse me. So
Christina, can you?
in that location? And then measure to the other mooring?
Oh, can we look at the other ones around? Maybe that's one of those is Cohen.
I would guarantee one.
Okay,
Probably, it looks like those
Save-
in front of
can you
that.
save that and then measure over to 3611, please?
Measure where?
3611.
That one, yeah, from there to, there you go.
There's definitely more room to use in that area than there is.
Wait, yeah, I mean, you gotta go, I would go at least 130, 140 feet from
Right, push out.
where it is. If you put it right there, you can have a conflict.
I'd be happy to go on Friday and pull the coordinates of all the stakes and or bowls that are currently there, update the database so that way it reflects their actual locations as of this time. But whether or not that serves any purpose to you all after the fact, I don't know.
It's an area that you plan on getting to, I guess, in your travels when
There we
you're,
go.
it's an area you have.
It's been inventoried several times, that information just doesn't always get inputted into
100 feet.
here.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
So I have a list of where the actual are somewhere, but it may or may not actually been ever updated.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we either vote on that position as we got, or we table it until Bo's had a chance to go out there.
Have a, hold on, if it's pending his.
I mean, you can give me those coordinates, I can go make sure there's enough room for the boat to swing around there if you like.
So pending on review by the harbor master. I'm good.
I'm okay pending that.
Yeah,
Yeah, after a review by Bo to make sure that everything's good there, yeah.
okay.
Who owns 3457?
That's a cone.
That's cone.
Bill,
So there's something right there that's not right.
It's whatever that distance is, 50 feet south of his
More than that.
location. I'm hypothesizing.
Yeah, but it's.
all right, we got 6 in favor, pending inspection by the harbor master. You want to read off, somebody to read that position off? You got it.
The 41.073692 north, 72.285299 west.
Right. So, hey, pretty good.
I'm good.
Next. D. Moorhead.
Moorhead.
All right. He's been searching for a state mooring employee that's available. And you don't seem to be able to find one that, like a pre-existing one that's been abandoned or fired or whatever. I'm talking to her on a number of occasions, and when I finally said, how about a mooring at Burns Road? She goes, really? She said, sure. So that was just this afternoon, finally.
So all of these multiple location options are out the window.
Yeah, there's actually a stake down at Captain Bob's that could possibly be used. But she went right for that mooring thing. It's right down the road from her house and everything. Somehow we got to get this changed to a mooring. Or we could pick out a location at Burns Road. Work out the details, changing the paperwork later. It's the same fee, right? Yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
fee.
And we could just, can't we just,
Check off the different box?
I mean, if you confirmed it with her,
Yep. Okay, so let's see if we can do this.
let's not make more
Can
paperwork.
you go to Burns Road, please? Posing equidistance, in this area right here.
17-foot boat, right?
Are you seeing
Yeah, correct.
There's a couple of similarly.
75 feet, surrounding ones that should work. I mean, that's what I use in my small field. Again, can you pin that and measure up to the surrounding ones, please?
What's this one?
90, 90,
125.
25.
Okay,
You good? Yeah, can you read that off?
41.074469 north,
Just 4107.
4469, 72.315825 west,
723185.
825. 315825.
So we need to cross off the state mooring pulley, check off private mooring. Let's see, we got a proof of property owner, we got a driver's license, we got a boat registration. A picture of the boat. Pretty much cover it.
Yeah.
I'm good. James?
I'm good.
Matt?
Yes.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm good. Yep.
Al?
I'm good.
Bill?
Good.
Bingo. 6-0. 6 something. Christian Clark. Oh, that's why Jack's here.
Great spot then.
All right, so what did we get? Did we get some new information today or a new?
Yeah, it was requested that I move the dock to 25 feet off the property line.
Is that C down there?
That was the argument. Christian didn't feel that that was the proper setback.
He's right.
That 20 was proper. I did drew another set of plans showing it 25 feet off that property line. But the girls gave me the 16 additional copies of the old plans if anybody wants these. But I think you guys already have this plan showing 20 feet off.
I thought zoning made a difference, but the code actually says 25 feet.
Okay, if I have,
Okay, thank you.
so whoever feels like going with that, I have those plans here.
All right.
But I have 16 copies of the old plans. I do have old plans.
Okay, just to summarize that, the original application showed a 20-foot setback, which is, I think in the application, it says you have to abide by the setback in that zoning area. In the town code, it says 25-foot, same thing, you have to abide by the setbacks of that zoning, a 25-foot minimum, whatever the case.
So Christian didn't want to argue either way, so we have both sets of plans ready either way. So any direction you want to go, if you want to play with 25, he's fine.
I know, it sounds petty, but
Pretty bad.
it's my job.
I'm always very upset that this 16 pages are the same as the ones that you guys already have. But I have one copy of the 25%.
So
I have to prove that I did it.
the other question was the depth.
Can you pull that up on the map, please, Christina? You know where it is?
This was the location of the DEC.
Which is interesting because it's their rule that we follow, which is the 2.5 foot.
Like the 2.5 foot rules floating docks. It's one
Right.
spot stationary.
I know, so I looked that up. And it, not just for floating docks, according to their regs, but it says for fixed or floating, and it says generally floats or fixed structures where boats will be moored. So comes down to whether a boat can be kept there or not. So I gave the 6 NYCRR 661 dot.
Like I said, it's as far as the setback where the DEC required it to go, this has been going back and forth before it got you guys.
I know it's just strange that it's a DEC rule that we follow, and it's DEC that's approving something that doesn't go along with their, which it seems they're doing a lot of that lately with various applications we're seeing. But what does it do when you move it over 5 feet? Does it get you into any deeper water?
No, not really.
It doesn't really change much.
I'd like to see the 25 feet just because it's kind of close to the neighboring dock, at least it looks so on paper. That'd be my,
Like to see it? There it is.
okay.
So this is an L with the L being
Fixed.
lower, but lower than the main dock.
Yes. Because they want it 4 feet above the vegetation, so this dock ramps up, steps on, comes up, levels off, and then where the L is, where the dock's gonna, with those.
Steps down.
Yeah, it steps down 16 inches. It steps down 16 inches.
So the dock leaving the shore is higher than normal, so you normally,
Generally, over the vegetation, they have 4 feet over the vegetation.
Is
There's
there,
actually steps, there's actually steps coming up on the dock. The dock is level. The steps coming up on the dock level, and then the tail is the lower platform.
So there's a couple of steps going down to it, right? Back in.
Yeah, the lower platform is 1 step, 2 8-inch risers.
is there a reason why they didn't want the stock to be longer since it's only 80 feet from mean high water in order to get it to deeper water?
It's inside the pier line. They try to look and adhere also to the town's rules. And the rule of thumb, a lot of townships, South Hold, they like to maintain a pier line, and this is within the two neighboring docks.
The elevation of the, I'm just trying to get this clear in my head. I'm not trying to fight something here. The elevation is, on the main dock is plus 5.5, so that's from mean low water, I guess.
That's bullshit that we don't get into the design of it.
2.5 foot, so it's,
Yeah, the main dock would be 2.5 to 3 feet above mean high water.
yeah,
Then it'll step down 16 inches from the lower platform.
yep. Got stairs along the shore.
There's stairs going onto the dock, but you can walk right around the dock. There's no, it's a passable beach. There's no stairs going over, you can walk right by.
I'm satisfied. You guys need more time?
Just wondering about the neighboring dock. That's the question.
Yeah, yeah, it's right on top of the neighboring dock. I mean, why, I don't understand why this dock is placed where it's placed.
Well, the neighboring dock is only 5 feet off the property line. And we are 25 feet off the property line, so we're 30 feet away from the other dock.
And the L is going to the north.
Right.
The L's straight to the north.
But if it were moved over and extended, you'd be in deeper water, further away from the neighbor's dock. I just find it a very strange place to be putting this dock, especially it only gets you to, I mean, we're usually on the opposite side of this argument. Make the dock longer, you know, but it's, I just don't understand. I don't understand this.
Is there a dock currently there? There used to be a dock there years ago.
No, on part of the property, there's no dock.
There's no dock, okay.
Jack, did you say the DEC located this? Had some input into the location on the shore?
Yeah, we had to move it back and forth. They, because they wanted to be L in 1.6 feet of water. I mean, 1.5 feet of water, 18 inches of water.
They wanted it in 18 inches?
Well, they didn't want us to impede on the waterway either. That was basically the best they could come up with. This has been going on for a while.
Where are we here?
I think personally, I would have gone longer. I mean, it's not, because the other ones are sort of a little further out.
Well, it sounds like the DEC was trying to keep it as short as possible, but
Right.
no less than
Not get
1.5
into
feet of water.
Not impede on the,
Where's this property?
it's in the middle there, isn't
Right there.
it? So you got the
Yeah.
15% thing.
Yeah. So you probably got that 15% rules.
That's why they kept it further to the south.
It's a problem.
Like I said, you're still 35 feet away from the other dock, and then, of course, the other dock is pre-existing, non-conforming, because the inshore end of the float sits on bottom all the time.
We got that.
One to the north or the one to the south?
One to the south.
One to the south, okay.
We're gonna have to grant an exception to the 15% rule if we go ahead with this.
Where's the document that would indicate the distance to the other side?
Would we? I don't know.
But I think you can actually see it, which is that, there's the mean water line on the island. Okay.
Yeah, and another reason to keep it that short is not to encroach on the actual channel. As you can see, we're actually not even close to the channel.
So, but is that,
So if you look at the pictures, the actual photograph up there is the best. And you talk about, do you guys adhere to the 15% rule, or 25% rule, or 30% rule? Or
15%.
It's different with everybody. That's the reason it's at the far south part of the property.
what is the distance from the dock to the land across on the other side, do you know?
It depends how you measure it. It's one of those things where
I'll follow the straight line of the dock.
I like that one because that's really good for me.
I'm just thinking if they,
No, I know.
because if you do move it out and to get it to deeper water, then you have a much shorter distance. So maybe that's why it's placed where it's placed. I'm just trying to understand this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 160 feet. You go straight across. I mean, it's a long ways, and we're only about, I marked on one of these pages. And we're only about 40 feet past mean low water from the shore, so we're, you know. And like I said, we're not even close to the channel.
Yeah, right, it's at the choke point, though, pretty much.
It's to stay away from the choke point.
Christine, can you start right about here and come out, was it 80 feet total length?
From mean high water, it's 80 feet. 80.
It's around there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, try to start there. Come out 80 feet from there. You think that's a starting point, or is it beyond, it's come more
Well,
shore?
the line's got to come this way to the south.
Oh,
Regardless, it's inside the pier line, right? So if you drew a line between the two piers.
Right. Well, it's, yeah, I have that. That's it's well within the pier line.
Right, so it's like.
Right now, it's
technically,
not.
you use the line between the piers as the starting point to measure distance.
Backwards.
Right.
I don't know where the starting point is on here.
In any case, I think they're okay with 15%. I don't. 15%. I don't know. Without measurements, how do you?
15% of what exactly? Is of the, from mean low water? Or
15% of the distance from mean low water to mean low water. Dock can't exceed the 15% of that distance. So.
I think we have to grant an exception to that.
You're not at water.
We don't even know that that's the right line anyway.
Yeah.
That's like 40%.
Because you're looking at this, that looks like more than 15% to me.
Right.
I don't have a.
Right. Yeah, it definitely, I mean,
What's been stated.
I think we have two issues. I think we have depth and we have the 15% rule. What's it from the?
Looks like the tip of the L is the closest point. That's the, and across from that is the choke point. On the page.
Practically speaking,
It's 36, 5.5 feet. In the water, just see where
that's what you're coming up with?
Less than 40 feet.
yeah, 36.
So if we're going to grant an exception to the 15% rule, the basis of it would be it's within the pier line of the adjoining docks.
Curtailable line. The total distance is what? From point to point? Short, from mean low water to mean low water? It's hard to.
It's 147 feet, it's on the diagram.
Well, that's.
In the application?
Yep. Yeah, 147, yeah.
It's not even close to the 15%. Way over the 15%.
Currently at 24?
Right, at the length that it is now.
And like I said, it doesn't encroach on the channel. So, I mean, it's
So
like,
yeah, it looks like the channel's at least another 30 feet beyond what's here on the paper on this proposal.
There's only two other docks beyond it, right?
there's a really tiny dock way up in there,
Skip tunnels.
which has got no water around it.
I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable with my relationship here because I like to keep really good relationships with my neighbors, and I'm afraid it's going to influence my vote. So I'm going to abstain.
There's no such thing as extension.
You can recuse yourself.
Which means you should leave the room. Extension is, I just don't want to be on record.
All right, so if this dock is within the pier line of the other two docks, is there any way to make a line from the ends of those other docks? And actually see what the,
On this paper, this proposal.
so now, can you put your hand on the line there, where you leave the line, and then work your way back?
Look at this one. Did you see this one? He's got it, professional.
Right, the line that he gets standing, actually,
Dock is here, and that's 36 feet from the end of the dock's 36. That's where the numbers are coming from.
But this just is a better visual maybe for, you know, I would say that this is, you know, something that is, you know, within the existing conditions and not encroaching any more than anybody else is in this spot.
Right. I tend to agree with you, James.
Or about what's across the way. What's across the way, and there's much more of a gap here and there, and here. I mean, that's sort of the part that sort of grows out. Of course, that might move.
Yeah, but I mean, the navigation would not be impeded in any greater fashion if that dock is there or isn't there.
Yeah, the dock being in its place right now doesn't have any bearing on that. My only concern is it's showing only 1.8 feet of water at the outside edge of it.
Right, I mean, that's.
Normally I only require 2 feet.
well, it should be 2.5 feet.
2.5 feet is normal.
If you moved it, actually, to the left, I'm not sure, oh, to the north. It gets steeper. You'd almost have to be up, you'd have to take it as far to the north as possible.
That gets close to the pinch point.
Right.
Could we put some kind of stipulation in that the beam of the boat can't be more than, 8 feet or 10 feet or something, so you don't end up.
I think we did it to a guy sitting right next to you.
Right.
Yeah, I think they did do that.
Yeah. So maybe that would, alleviate any concerns of, blocking the channel from the other two docks. Right. That'd be reasonable.
I mean, Bill, in your situation, on your dock, it was even a little bit tighter, but what was the stipulation we put on there? Was it 12 feet?
14. Yeah, 14, I think 14, 13 or 14. So I think we put it,
I mean, you could go 25 feet off the other property line.
that's what I was looking at, if you go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're gonna pinch off anything any more than.
Yeah, well, there's more water closer to shore on the north end.
It'd be a shorter
Right.
dock. Because the mean high water line goes further east.
Like I said, with the negotiation with the DEC, this, went on for quite some time, and it just seemed fine. I would be willing to put in a stipulation about the width of the boat. I mean, 14 feet would be fine. He's got the old stink pot, so, yeah, 14 feet.
I can't imagine if this doesn't move around a little too.
Right.
More in a closed-in area, so where we is today.
Jack, you say he's putting the stink pot on that? He owns the stink pot, I don't know about his plans, really. And they put a 14-foot stipulation on the front of the bottom.
Yeah, that's why I'm concerned.
I've been saying that, it would be okay.
First time to be on the bottom.
He's got a beautiful baby, he's gonna set a console too, that's probably what I'm going.
But if the dock were moved north and came.
He keeps the stink pot over for the family, home.
It wouldn't really, it'd be, like not a super amount of difference really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you're splitting hairs. I mean, it's like,
And going back to
You're still under two
DEC.
and a half feet.
You know, we're pointing, then the whole DEC thing and everything, and I go to that, you know, you've already moved it once. To 25 feet. And I don't know, that moving it again, it's gonna get.
It's only gonna gain you a couple inches if you moved it the other way. It's
Today's inches.
So I'm fine with the beam restriction if you guys want, that makes it
What would that beam restriction be?
14.
14?
Well, we said that was what another one was.
Yeah, we had one, you know, Daniels was 11 or some other random number.
I'm not saying he's gonna get the stink pot in there, I mean, that usually stays over at the family compound. But he's got a center console, that'll probably stay there.
We say 10 or 12?
12,
12,
how's that?
okay. Should we take a vote?
We should probably have, in a situation like this, at least a hardship letter. Because we need an explanation as to why we're going against
15%.
and why we're going against the 15%. I mean,
Because it's in the dock line. I mean, that's,
so what? Many times we're outside of the dock line.
All right, so he's stayed with existing conditions. I mean, this is what's gonna be in the, I have the hardship letter, that's fine. You know, that's not a problem, right?
Sure.
Write that, I mean, you're staying, you understand there's a 15% issue, but you've kept the dock at a minimum length, and you're staying within the other dock lines, and you're not impacting navigation any more than the existing docks.
Yeah, these are all, you know, as we work toward this comprehensive plan idea, I mean, it's really taking all these different criteria and looking at each specific site and then checking off the boxes to see why we would, you know, permit this to happen instead of being arbitrary about a length or a depth or whatever. And that would make sense if we stay within a pure line for navigational purposes, go against the code on distance, and probably the worst part of it is depth. I don't know what you do about the depth issue here, because almost any boat you put in there is going to be on the bottom. So it's a tough one.
So I'll write a hardship letter to make it.
It's more than beam, it's really draft in a situation like this.
Yeah, because you've got plenty of clearance, no matter what your beam is there to the center of that channel. It's more about the depth of water that's there. Just rough estimate there is 10, 20, 30. I mean, there's almost 40 feet there of, between the end of the outer edge of that L on that dock to the deepest point in that channel right there. Beam would be the problem I would have. It would be once you get the draft. And it's not like you're hindering any navigation to a big dock that's further up in there, because no water.
Big dock.
That. So really, the issue of navigation inside there, really, I don't see that there is one unless you're accessing that dock that we're talking about.
Well, do you want to make them move it over to the north and make it longer? I mean, that would take care of the depth problem, and it still wouldn't really impact the navigation. It would make the DEC, then you have to go back and do that.
I hate.
And I'm not saying that this is a great idea, I'm just saying that.
I think we should, I think, you know, can you live with a depth limitation?
Yeah, I mean, he's already accepted the stock as it is, like I said, we've been going back with the DEC and trying to keep it as far away from that fish point as possible.
This is a dock for an outboard.
Right, so I mean, I don't think that's a giant issue.
So I think we should have a depth stipulation, and I don't think we have to really work.
Yeah, we've stipulated.
And common sense is gonna dictate, I mean, he is after all a clerk, I mean, he does know, you know, about both stuff, you know, he's not gonna try to keep something there that's not gonna work.
Like he's limited, I mean, he's not gonna get, you know, something with a 30-foot beam in there, so it's gonna be the center console.
Right.
And we have put on record that the boat should not sit on the bottom. Right, for if that, would that
Yeah.
CCA.
Yeah, you don't need it, you don't need.
Information, we're in there.
Got 3 criteria here, right? We're saying that the boat can't sit on the bottom, the
Beam can't exceed 12 feet.
beams can't exceed 12 feet, and what else? Well, that was it.
That was it.
Oh, and a hardship letter has to come.
Hardship, yeah.
Has to explain the hardship. Okay,
I'm good with that.
all right, I'm good with that.
Yeah, that satisfies me, yeah.
Yeah, so we're good.
I'm good with it.
5-0.
5-0. 5-1, well,
John.
1,
John, 5-0.
You need this back? You got plenty of.
yeah, you have enough, you have
Why
enough.
don't you give it to Christina?
I'll get her 16, she needs 16
Okay.
copies. Required.
Who's next? Owen.
Next is Owen.
Just wanted to say, it's the first time ever I haven't felt as though I could be objective about what we're reviewing.
That's,
Taking a lot of pride in that, and when I started having doubts, it's time for me to do. Okay,
hold on.
Paul.
Cohen,
It's another no water situation.
This is the one where there's the,
Oh, this is a dock to nowhere?
Exactly.
this is the swimming dock, right?
This is another suggestion by the DEC. And by the town. They come up with this stuff. We had this dock going, quite a bit over the code. We were trying to go out like 130 feet over the code. The DEC said, that's over South Rouse code, we're just gonna give you a water access. So this is the plan that the DEC actually sent back to me and approved. So I did not design it, it meets the town setback. They're trying to adhere to the town's rules, it's not a lot of back and forth. So this dock was actually designed by the New York State DEC. And it adheres to your code as far as the setback and for the overall length.
Yeah, I would stipulate that no boat can be kept at this dock.
It's water access for kayaks. We've done this in the back of Gardner's, we've done this, I got one right across from that. Right across from, Nick Gross's house, we just did one. One just to the north of this. So this is a common request by the DEC. And oddly enough, right around the corner, they had approved a ramp at the end of the dock 2 years ago. They did not approve a ramp at the end of this. Like a ramp going down to the water where you can access it, they denied that. And kicked it back and they wanted stairs. But this is how the DEC mandates it.
It's on Westmoreland Drive, this is the one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's right next to Lyman Knolls.
But this was one.
It's just to the east.
Oh, is that the new house that just shoehorned right in that long, narrow lot?
If you're just setbacks. Yeah, Frost Street, not the
House is 12 feet wide.
where is it on that map, for that map?
Oh, it's
Good setbacks, the house.
I'm not in West, oh, no, we're not in West. Oh.
This is Karen Brush right here. This is Karen Brush. This is like Andrew's house. That's right in between here. So this is Brush. And Brush's dock that dock is probably 300 feet long. It's gonna be one of these.
So it only extends 7.5 feet beyond the wetland, wetlands.
It's not, what is there existing is a path through the wetlands.
Right.
That predates the house, it's been there forever. And that's what they're looking to avoid walking through. And these types of water access docks are popular with the city.
Oh, I see.
Because, we would have to go,
You'd have to go pretty
we'd have to
far.
go out another 130 feet to get to the 2.5 contour. I don't think you guys are gonna go for that.
No, that's right, the turn when I was.
Works for me.
Well, the staircase there going into the water, I assume that's what that is, right?
Yeah.
What is that constructed of? In a qual.
Rating on it?
It's just the grading, it's got a, like, permeable grading.
The structure of the staircase itself is that
Yep.
rating?
Yeah, the whole dock is degrading, anything over the vegetated wetland has to have the light permeable grading.
I was just worried about
It is patched up the same way.
Okay, the materials in the water itself, that's what I was looking at, because I know that we had another dock where somebody replaced the outer posts with CCA.
Yeah, that's purer, probably you're thinking of.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that's something we even bother looking at, because I mean, there's a lot of, I think that was done because it was a sensitive creek, I believe,
I'm very sensitive up in the,
up in the head of that creek. That's why that was locust post. Okay.
That was a negotiation with the DEC years and years ago. That's why that was stipulated in that particular permit.
Oh, okay, all righty.
If your vote,
I would like to stipulate no powered vessel kept at that dock.
how are you gonna
How
do
would
it?
you keep a vessel there?
You can't, you couldn't even get one in there, I don't think.
A kayak, I guess, but yeah, powered,
There is no water at shoreline.
Right.
yeah. Yeah, I guess you don't have to.
Good.
Try hard enough to get it in there.
James,
I'm good.
Matt? Tom,
I'm good.
Al,
I'm good.
Bill,
Good.
6. Mauer. You're doing okay.
Same thing. Must be the new thing.
This is another one where we work with the DEC, kind of adheres to the town's code. It adheres to the 30-foot setback on this one. And it also adheres to 100 feet from mean high water. And while we do have a couple seconds to spare before we close this thing up, on one of these measurements, we're talking about impeding the waterway with the pinch point, we talked about park stock. Those measurements are all taken at low tide. The water depths are taken at low tide. The Shelter Island continues to block the overall length of the dock measured from the high tide. So we're taking all our measurements, this is kind of more for the two new members, because I've farmed this for 32 years now. On Shelter Island, the overall length of the dock is dictated from mean high water. Every other measurement is taken from mean low. In North Haven, they finally came around to understanding that. North Haven now, the overall length of the dock is judged from mean low water. The water depths are from mean low water. Distance across navigable water by low water. So they've got on the same page. So just to let you guys know that you guys are doing the overall lengths of the dock based from that mean high water mark. Still.
That's soon to be mean low water.
Perfect.
You find that problematic?
Change.
Exactly, it's all right.
Yeah, well, a lot of times when the gradient is very soft,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Say it changes, you can walk 30 feet out and the water depth only changes 3 inches. And you're using that length towards the overall length of the dock. Now in North Haven, they start from mean low water. Because sometimes that can mean extending the dock, 20, 25 feet to get to the proper water depth. Because we're always looking for the 2.5. The 2.5, is the magic number, and then the 4.0 is the terminus. So we're looking to get somewhere in that range within reason.
So where is this on that map?
Near the,
This is the house that just recently changed hands? No.
In between those
what
two?
they're working on.
Did they advise they do one?
No, this is the wrong one.
So what's at the end? Another set of steps?
Three ladders,
Ladders.
there's multiple ladders.
Is this supposed to be another one of those swimming docks or?
Now, this had a little bit more water depth, and like I said, all these depths are mean low water. This would be for a small, center console or rowboat type of access, and I'm sure down the line here, they're gonna be looking for, a mooring. A lot of the docks we do now are just for tenders, the tended moorings, because of the overall length restrictions.
So it only gets to 1.4 feet, is that right? Or 1.6 feet?
0.4 here, yeah.
And that was to adhere to the 100-foot rule. And you can see what I was saying about the gross deviation between, if you look at page 5 of 7, the gross deviation between mean high water and mean low water, is 47 feet. So it becomes an issue. Sometimes it drops off, like last month we did that dock over in Merkel, where the water it was just straight down.
Right.
Yeah.
This is. See a measurement from the.
That's within the pier line as well. The adjoining piers.
Yes, it's well within the pier line, it's exactly 100 feet from mean high water. Even though there's such a gross deviation between, mean low water and high water.
That's extreme deviation, that's like almost 60 feet.
Yeah, it's a long difference.
I don't see a measurement from the what on here. Well,
This one might require a scaled water pattern right here.
Could we zoom out a little bit to get a little better perspective on what's around us?
George.
Thanks, that's great. So,
yeah, there's no mean high water to end of dock measurement on it.
If you scale it, Bill, it comes out to be exactly what
I just don't, I don't know why it wasn't included. But. So they do intend to keep a boat on the end of this
this is more of a kayak access. You can just see, you're handcuffed by the depth of water. Exactly what type of boat they're gonna keep there, I don't know. Can't really give much.
Why is the DEC approving these things at less than 2.5 feet?
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's always, as far as I knew, it was always depth of water they had to gain in order to put a dock in.
Well, all those spots are taken. What's left is.
It doesn't need, you don't build a house in a marsh because it's the only land left. I mean,
I'm not saying I agree with it, but just it's happening.
only if we let it happen.
Well, if it doesn't, it's not within your code to judge the water depths. That's within the DEC's rules. And your rules dictate the setbacks and the overall length.
And here the DEC is not following its own rules.
Right.
Well, like I said, they, they're being within reason, trying, they do take into consideration the rights of the town and their rules.
Are they developing a category of just water access? Or is that just sort of like an interpolation?
My neighbor.
Right, I mean, but I'm just saying, is the DEC actually embracing this concept?
Mine's 20 years old, not with the concept now. You can't have a boat at the end of the dock. You can't, you
Right.
can only use it to launch a kayak. And by the way, don't store your kayak on top of this dock. I mean, on this catwalk. So I mean, those are things that were 20 years ago, they were saying the same thing. And Russell Glover just went through it.
Right, and we've approved these plenty of times before, plenty of times before. I mean, we're just starting to see more of them. And I think what you're saying is right,
He's gone.
yeah, right, well,
I'm ready to vote. Anybody else?
I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't want to see a boat on the end of it if it's for kayaks, I guess. I don't know whether you can make a stipulation like that or not. Because this is gonna keep popping up. And we're just gonna keep running into less and less water where these docks are at.
Yep. Just
What's
say
gonna happen is, I mean, either they're gonna do it or they're gonna come and ask for it. They're gonna put a pulley line off the end of this thing.
Right.
Yeah, well,
We've done that before.
Right.
Well, I mean, they're not asking for it, but I'm just saying, that's what I do.
At this point, this is all we're asking.
Right, I mean, you can't like extrapolate into the future.
Vote. I'm good. James?
I'm good.
Matt? Tom?
I gotta vote no, just because I'm just not happy with the water depth, but that's where I am.
Al?
Okay, I'm good.
Bill?
Just because we've done it so much before.
I haven't been there for that, so that's good.
4, 2. You deciding to look at lack of water. Lack of water. Scudder.
Back to the.
God, what do we got going on here?
A lot going on here.
Jack, you want to run us through this? Run us through this?
This is basically a complete property rehab. It includes, the two jetties going into the basin, which, have failed, hasn't been dredged in years and years. Inside the basin, we're adding a small 6x20 floating dock with a ramp. Basin will be dredged. There was a seasonal dock out there. We're changing that dock to a permanent dock because taking it in and out every year has become not practical. And that's the major part of it. I mean, like I said, the jetties are already there. They're both going to be extended about 6 feet. The basin, replace the bulkheads. I mean, it looks like a lot, but it's really not that big of a job.
Well, in place in kind, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the jetties are getting extended 6 feet. I mean,
Is that to get a little more depth
yeah,
in and out?
it would have been nice to go a little bit further, but I mean, it's like I said, once again, dealing with the state. And we're trying to revitalize the space, and the space has been stagnant for quite a few years. I'm sure you guys have seen it going by in the posts. And bring it back to, flushed and navigable water.
It was stagnant and filled in when I was in high school.
So 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, I wish.
There you go. That's a yes.
At least since the 90s, that basin's been filled in.
I spent another couple of weeks down there in the freezing cold with Glenn King and his back shovel.
Really?
So the existing outside dock are you going, trying to find a drawing of that. Is it the same length you're going on the seasonal that you're going with the,
It's gonna be, like I said, adhere to the setback. over here, it's at 100 foot more. And it stops also before 4 feet of depth, so it adheres to all the town.
But right now, it's silted in, right?
Yes.
Right now, it's totally silted in.
Yeah, the basin is.
The basin is not where the dock is.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
there's two docks, there's a, it's multiple pieces of property, and it's like a big family compound with 5 houses on it. And basically, we're revitalizing the basin and then replacing the seasonal dock with a permanent dock.
And there's another dock in the basin?
It is a floating dock in there. A ramp thing. They chose that, they want to do multiple, they back down away from that, so they don't want problems. It's a massive piece of property.
And then,
Like at first blush, when I looked at this, I thought you had a 15% rule issue, but
It's their basin.
it's their basin.
It's their basin, they own
I
it.
mean, really,
Yeah.
other than that, I didn't really see any issues with it.
25 foot.
Other than it's one of the coolest places I've seen.
It is.
It is. 10 acres of property.
All right, we got one stupid little
What do you got, John?
50-foot width, 55.
Where are you?
That's what.
Pilings on page 14 of 19. Relatively petty. 50-foot overall width. This is like the other guy. This is 55. Who wants 25-foot tie-off pilings?
Who's that? On the outside?
Where are you looking,
It gives it a little more room to move. It gives, the line a little bit more, if we made it 16 feet wide, it would be just kind of, you want to break the cleats off the boat or. We've always used 25 feet off, or 24 feet off.
What page, John?
14 of 19. It shows the dock and the tie-off pilings and the overall.
Considering the massive layout of this property, I don't, like you said, it's going to 55 feet rather than 50, it seems like not much.
So we just required that of another guy and he complied. I forget who.
Is it talking?
Yeah, we did, we just,
And that was on inside waters.
Inside.
right.
This is.
This is outside waters.
All right, forget I ever said it. Let's keep going.
What is it though that keeps somebody else from going and dredging up their beach and putting in a basin? What's different about this?
This is.
As it stands right now, for some years, it's been silted in. So now you're actually dredging a beach.
No, but there's a structure there that's pre-existing, that's still there.
Yeah, the jetties are still there.
I mean, everything was there.
Didn't you just say that they failed?
They failed because of lack of maintenance. You know what I'm saying? They're there, and they didn't maintain the facility.
I don't think someone could come in and cut through the beach and install bulkheads. I don't think that would ever fly. I mean, I can think of,
Like the DEC wouldn't let it happen.
there's one or two other spots like this on the island. Yep.
Beach, there's one.
Silver Beach is one that's completely just like this one. It's got one.
Forest Gulf.
Yeah, to the north of John there.
Is that Larry Lane? Yeah, the other.
You can go across the bottom of the boatyard.
Oh, right.
But that's still navigable. But you can still get in.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's just there. On a boat?
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, but I don't think, this is different than, just, unless you extended it to, well, was it a voluntary discontinuance of use? I mean, that's sort of the criteria for nonconformity in the zoning code.
There is that spot right in front of Reese's family's house. You could probably arguably cut through there.
Right.
And go inside.
Yeah,
But
that's Crab Creek, right?
Crab Creek, yeah.
If that's not bulkheaded, it's just
Need to knock this out, keep going.
All right. Have we ever done more than 50 feet on the outside? Is that, or are we just saying it's the Wild West outside and we go longer than 100 and we go wider than 50? I'm just trying to be consistent.
Guess on the outside, we tend to be a little bit less, a little bit more lenient. If Jack wanted to change it, but everybody would be happy. Jack?
You gotta come back with all the documents. I think it's hairs.
I think so too.
All right, I'm good. James?
I'm good with it.
Matt?
We can vote no.
I'm good.
No?
I think based on the fact that it's been that way for that period of time, I think it's abandoned.
We all hate our parents without.
This will no.
I'm good.
No?
I'm good.
Bill?
I'm good.
5 and 1, right? All righty. Now, back to Goodwin. We're about out of time, as I suspected we would be.
Yeah, it's try to set a meeting.
Right, so
We'll just email and see which, so we have two options, one's the 17th at 4:30 or the 18th.
One, if it will be discussed today, I looked at the town hall calendar. If it will be discussed today at a special meeting in a week, in 2 weeks, or in May, it both fall on the same public hearing date, May 6th. So it's not really a scheduled special meeting. On April 25th will be public hearing scheduled for May 16th. And WMAC is prior to that, so town board will have a guidance prior.
does that leave enough time to advertise?
Yeah.
Okay.
It will be set on April 25th.
Regardless of whether we review it today or
Yeah.
May 1st.
Can we review it today?
Public hearing, even though you haven't decided.
All the applications will
Right,
forward.
on 25th is our next town board meeting, is what she's saying.
Yeah, all these applications will have a public hearing on May 16 anyway.
So,
Brilliant.
the only thing is if we foresee possible where they might have to redo, et cetera, we're not leaving a lot of
Wiggle time.
wiggle time, that's it.
All right, look, we got 5 or 10 minutes, right?
Let's do a little
Yeah.
talk about it.
So,
Should we do that without the? Not noted?
Well, we're not gonna act on it right now, are we?
Just
No.
chat it up.
yeah. I was a little bit concerned, or the 100-foot spacing seemed a little bit tight to me, depending on, I don't know what size boats they want to put on there. I don't know what kind of tackle you're intending to use. You know, if you're going to use that Hazlet thing, then that's different from, a dead weight and chain. Can you expand on that?
This is Bruce.
We can spread it out a little bit, we just, I had it, you could make it a little bit, a little more, gap. The problem is that it gets deep the further you go out, pretty quickly. So, I was trying to keep it in, relatively, lower depth. And I think they're not looking to tie up big boats there. I think they're gonna be, 40-foot, Hinkley's or whatever coming in, or, that's pretty much what was there. I think 100 feet, I kind of did it, took the measurements a little bit off of like what you got in your grid.
Yeah.
You're about like 100, 100 and a quarter.
125.
125?
123, but yeah.
And what size boats you put up in there? You like 40 to 55 footers there?
Yeah, 40, and then around the perimeter, I'll go more than 40
Right,
on the perimeter.
yeah.
So I'm just checking to make sure you get.
Yeah, I mean,
Check.
I'll take a look at it, but basically that's the plan. you know, the main thing there is, you know, you get the tidal change, so the boats swing around. I'm gonna go, you know, east and west on the tidal change.
Pretty much your call, it's not really our call, except that don't want to be ashamed to prove something and find out that these tides got these things swinging all over the place. It wouldn't be usable.
No, absolutely. I mean, well, you know, every other one would be usable. But I think, well, that's something too. I mean, you know, how do you feel about, I mean, if it didn't work out, you know, and we had to move, you know, one or two of them further out, I mean, is that, you know, the permits are only 1 year anyway to be renewed. We might move, you know, two of them out a little deeper. But I think, you know, what the client told me was that he wanted smaller boats in close, and then larger boats out further out.
Yep.
So it'd be like 4 and 4 kind of thing?
That's pretty much what I have, I think, yeah. And then the other thing is you have that rock.
Right.
And so the idea was to design it around the rock.
Where's the rock? Is it 10 feet 560?
We didn't get any papers.
So
No.
there's a mooring there that's permanent now to the Petries, I believe, that would be removed.
Those are actual boats.
And one of the moorings is pretty much in that spot. And I think when you look on the online mooring, the circle that was designed on it is less than what I did for the moorings that are proposed. And yeah, I think that boat is, I don't think that moor is like, I think they had like a 36 sport fish on that.
Right. No, it's a pretty nice layout. You know,
The idea was to stay away from Stewart Park over there, give the camp plenty of room, have access to the dock, you know, so that boats could still approach. And that's basically what the client wanted.
it's not rocket science. If there's 2 50-footers, you might not want to put them next to each other. So, you know, it's just
Right,
common
you got that
sense.
too, right. You have that option.
Right.
If the gear is standardized, you know, you're gonna be probably okay.
Right, hopefully that's, yeah. We're gonna do that.
Exactly. That's what yes, my gear's standardized, so I know what's going to happen.
And then the other point is that, I know that you at your marina require generators to go off at a certain hour, so that on dock look.
It's an in-house rule.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, so they're gonna adhere to things like that. Not that these moorings were meant for overnight, they're not. They're meant for
Right.
people to come during the day.
Yeah, that was special.
Yeah, I think that was just
Not the overnight.
They're not meant for, but, you know, if in case somebody got inebriated or whatever, they would make sure that. They
We
would
give them a room. That was
give
the
them a
plan.
little, yeah, get a room. but the idea is to, you know, not to have lights on, or it's not a place to party or to, you know, to generate that kind of a business.
So in the application, was it stipulated that there would be no overnight residence? You know?
Right, I didn't read it, yeah, I think he put it in there, the privilege, I'm not sure.
They can read to that.
I did, but, and then it's also, yeah. And it's not for,
Definitely
you know,
in favor of not
monthly,
overnighting.
it's just for transient during the day, like to control the traffic there and to keep the boats, you know, from anchoring that would, like you would say that, you know, when you anchor, you're not necessarily having standardized gear, and then boats swinging around in the tidal change, then they start to run into trouble. So they have to keep that.
Yeah, so most likely, we're going to want to see written agreement, a stipulation that wouldn't be, that was a big selling point for us. I think I got that general impression.
Yeah.
But no overnight?
Yes, yes.
I think they're
It was
way okay with that.
as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay. That's a different situation than elsewhere.
Yep.
Makes it unique.
What about some of the other issues that were raised? I mean, have we gotten past those? Are they still issues? Residency was put out there, non-conforming use, expansion. I mean, are these still items of concern?
They've sort of addressed it in their packet. Have you read their packet?
We didn't get the
Oh,
package.
you didn't, that's right, I came in very late on
Yeah.
Thursday, not late, but midday on Thursday. We were closed Friday. So this is why, yeah, you don't have it.
Okay.
Because
well,
we didn't agenda it for tonight.
So those issues have been somewhat addressed?
They've been addressed, whether or not they're to your satisfaction is something you guys have to discuss.
Yeah, they included documentary evidence of the amount of boats that had been there in the past, how they used the dock, so that it wasn't expanding the use. It's just a matter of safely handling
Same.
what's going on in the waterways today. Particularly the traffic that uses the channel going outside, the boats that are passing are creating a greater wake so that, and there's bulkheading there. And then what happens is, a lot of times when it's high tide, wave energy comes in, hits the bulkhead, and then bounces back out. So you get not only just the first action from the boat, but then you get a recurring action. So that's why they want to use the docks primarily to drop people off and then go out to a mooring. And then they would use one side of the dock depending on tidal movement, and then the other side moving the other way.
I think it's pretty reasonable, personally. Anything
Let's
else?
have a meeting though.
So, I mean, if you're, yeah, I mean, I think if it, I don't know, I didn't look at the exact dates, but, if it's an approval in sometime in May, I think, with the town board, that gives them enough time to get going. I see, it would have been better, I guess, if it was,
It doesn't sound,
It would not be.
Wouldn't have mattered anyway.
it would, okay.
It has to wait for the next town.
When's the next town board meeting?
25th.
That sets the public hearing.
Right, that would set the public hearing. So the only way you could do it is if you met specially between now and the 25th, right?
no.
No.
Because that's
Otherwise,
town
it's
board, it's
May
not
The town
16th.
board needs to say.
May 16th, 2 weeks before Memorial Day.
So they don't have a public hearing, the town board does. What you
Right, I
will
understand
do-
that, but if
we'll
they
do
were
that.
to approve it before your next town board meeting.
No, you have to set the public.
The town board needs to be.
Oh, he
at
still
the
has to
town
set
board
the
meeting
hearing.
to set the hearing.
Okay.
Right.
So you're looking at.
So as long as we meet before the 25th, then they can set the hearing.
No, we can set the hearing on the 25th without you having.
Correct.
Oh,
So,
The only reason to do it ahead of time is to give them time, the Bridgman time, if you guys, your discussion comes up with it, if they have time, that they have to, you know what I'm saying?
well, I mean, do you want to take a
if you.
sample vote?
But you haven't seen the package yet, so I don't,
But if they were.
I don't think that's appropriate.
I don't think.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
But John was so close to having these, can they set a special hearing themselves with another meeting?
Who they?
The WMAC, could they
Yeah,
set?
they could, and I think they should.
If they, okay, before the 25th.
Yeah, and and because that will give Goodwin time to recalibrate if you decide that's necessary.
So you
That's
guys
all
are,
I'm saying. Okay,
You're not pushing to the last minute.
right, because when you set the public hearing, the.
All right, so we have that meeting
criteria need to
set
be
tentatively, right?
correct,
Right.
I don't know, we had, that's how this conversation started. I was like, had two different.
Go back to the
so we're looking, so Pete,
I think I'm
so we're
right.
looking.
He's
to
talking
set a
between, he's talking
meeting.
after the May meeting and before the
No,
board
it
meeting.
makes sense, yeah.
I think that's what,
Okay, so-
I think that's
So the
what,
17th.
that's what I understood.
No, I think,
That's not this one.
17 next week at 4:30 would work for you?
well, that's why I was asking, so I can go look at my calendar and figure out whether the 17th at 4:30 or the 18th at 6 was the other option, right?
Right.
So,
We got 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think Tuesday was no.
No for Matt, no for Tom.
Monday's okay.
Yeah.
And Hal, what about you?
I
why
can't.
don't we all email
I don't know
tomorrow? Figure it out and everyone send in an email tomorrow and say what works.
Sounds great.
I'm close, I'm good for Monday. Good for Monday.
I am not.
You're not.
Monday's
You're not.
No,
It's
Monday.
Yes, Monday.
That's 3 yeses, 1 no.
Monday is at what time?
4:30.
4:30. I just don't know.
I can send a couple more that week, next week, or even this week. I don't know.
What time might have to be on Monday?
Monday, 4:30 is the only event.
That's the only available.
Okay. I should be able to.
I have no idea.
Let's tentatively see if.
And then Thursday, Friday is pretty open. Anybody knows? Well, Friday, we have a good one.
But that
Yeah. No place I'd rather be.
works for me, because I'm back home by Thursday, so if that is the case, I don't know of this week of any week. We pack Thursday night, the last truck to the city is Thursday night.
Want to show 3 dates, 3 possible dates?
Sure.
Then I'll respond, yes or no to each of the dates. How's that?
Okay.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second?
Thank you, we're adjourned at 7:16.